It's clear to me, you just ain't got the heart for this no more, kid. Your head's not in the game. I don't know, Rock. This one's shaky. Can't seem to keep a steady hand no more. These prophetic words were spoken by Unique in reference to Lulu during season 2. And in his condescending, taunting tone, there were glimmers of truth throughout that statement. Lulu, the youngest brother of the Thomas family, is at the lowest point we've ever seen him since his debut in season 1 of Raising Kanan. He's depicted throughout episode 301 as an alcoholic, or at least leaning on alcohol to assuage his problems. I mean, anytime you see someone sipping Jack Daniels straight from the bottle, you know there's issues, and the deep-seated kind, the kind that need to be remedied as soon as possible, or else. In today's video, we'll break down whether or not Lulu could potentially be taken off the board during Raising Kanan Season 3, as well as analyze what has brought him to such a lowly state. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. And lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things power. Here we go. We were first introduced to Lulu as the point man for the Thomas family in the realm of violence and business at large. Lulu was the type, if you remember, that Kanan spoke highly of, that was able to get something done and get it done right, all in the name of Thomas family supremacy. And he carried out these deeds for his sister and his family by extension, until he was brought to the point of murder. And not just any murder, but murdering a child, and in this case, his nephew's best friend. The murder of D-Wiz, as we saw at the time, emotionally affected Lou down to his core. We saw the shift in his character right in that moment. It was oozing out of his eyes as he pulled that trigger on the unsuspecting teen, something that he knew he could never come back from. Interestingly enough, while speaking to Kanan in this latest episode, he called the act a manipulation tactic by Rock, one that would keep him in remembrance of the evils of the game and his position in it, something that would hold him spiritually hostage whenever he tried to flee his sister's influence. Lulu's musical endeavors were his attempt not just to get out of this spiritual stronghold, but the business altogether. The game was like shackles on his heart, and music held the key to his own freedom. However, upon embarking on his musical journey, he learned that not everything is what it seemed in that arena as well. And although he tried to escape the game via music, the game infiltrated his legitimate business in the form of not just Crown's misdeeds, but his sister as well. Wherever Lou traveled, Rock was always sure to be not far behind, whether in the case of finances, or influence, or outright ownership, as she swindled his studio and business right from under his nose, and then declared before the world, holding his face in hand, that, quote, "I own you, nigga." This is just one of his many gripes with his sister. As if that ownership wasn't enough, now Rock has the nerve to mirror his own former sentiments, one of leaving the game. Now this rightfully should piss Lulu off, as how dare you try to leave a game that I tried to leave but wasn't allowed to. This also goes back to Kanan's quote, where he plainly stated that his mother was in fact the game itself, because Lulu, in leaving the game, would be leaving his sister, and that's the only way he'd truly be free, not just in his heart and in his soul, but in his physical capacity. Lulu's crimes are tied directly to his sister's empire, and the two cannot stand in harmony so long as they're connected. These ingredients have brought Lou to his current disheveled state. Lulu at this point is a loose cannon, someone who represents a potential danger to Rock so long as she remains in the game. Because now what we see is a man of conscience whose mind is coming back to haunt him of all of the things he's done wrong. The killing of D-Wiz, his role as a hired gun within the family, and one killing that was carried out by his presence, but not his direct hand, the killing of Scrap, who turned out to be innocent of the hood crime of being a snitch. These heavy burdens are weighing on this man, and we see him trying to outrun them through the bottle. The dominance and lack of care that Rock has imposed upon him is going to lead him to some grisly places this season. Ironically enough, Malcolm Mays, the actor that portrays Lulu, dealt with a similar set of emotional circumstances in another famed character of an equally famed series, Kevin Hamilton of Snowfall. In that series, the sins of Franklin Saint against his day one friend began to take their toll, and that toll led to treachery in the name of honor and betrayal as far as Kevin was concerned. Now, Lulu once told his sister directly that, quote, "I'll never flip. It's not in him to turn against his family." Or at least it wasn't. But is Rock still, in his mind, indeed his family? Does he still view her like a blood sister, Or is she just someone who is indeed domineering, controlling, and willing to execute any means so long as it brings her to her desired end? If that's the boat that he now sees his sister in, then loyalty is off the table. And if loyalty is off the table, then so is Lulu potentially. And if it comes at the hand of Rock, this will be just yet another thing that keeps her in the game. If this season starts with Rock trying to outrun the game, then what she'll learn by the end of it is that she never could because she can't outrun the things that inspires it. And those things may just factor in to her taking her brother off the board. Not due to merely alcoholism or anything of the sort, but due to him being what D-Wiz had became to her, what Scrap had became to her, what her own son, in so many respects, is becoming to her, a loose end. And loose ends and Rock don't fit well together. To date, the only loose end that we saw Rock give grace to was her former lover, Symphony. All other opposers have been extinguished by way of the gun. And with Lou, although they are blood, and that should factor heavily into her not pulling that trigger, but because it's blood, it's personal between them. Remember, we just witnessed an example of this on Tommy's end of the Powerverse, where Vic turned on his sister Claudia for her treachery against him. Claudia indeed tried to remove Vic, except this effort wasn't necessarily a personal attack, but more so one for power and greed. Although Lulu said he never flipped once upon a time, would the rules of engagement change if an attempt is made on his life and fails? And this commentator's fear is that Lou is going to do something so irrevocable that it's going to force Rock's hand, as it does so often in power. Force her hand to do the unthinkable against her blood and by proxy, her very self. But what are your thoughts on all of this? How do you think Uncle Lou's story will go for the remainder of the season? And more importantly, how do you think it'll end? Be sure to drop me your opinions in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.